I came home to a cold skillet on the stove and a sticky note on the fridge that said, "Transfer $600. My phone is outdated. No hi. No how was your day, just a bill." The house used to smell like roasted chicken and cinnamon. That night it smelled like metal and silence. I put my keys in the bowl, listened to the hollow sound, and realized I'd been looking forward to coming home out of habit, not because someone was waiting. Habit is a bad compass. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have changed the route a lot earlier. Around 10, the garage light flashed through the blinds. Not her car. A black sedan rolled into the driveway, engine idling like it owned the place. I stood behind the curtain and watched her laugh at something the driver said. He leaned across, easy, like he'd done it a dozen times, and they hugged like calendar people. Quick, practiced, nothing clumsy about it. The door opened and closed. She slipped off heels without looking at me. "Don't start," she said, voice steady, purse already on the hook. "Who was that?" "A ride. Don't be dramatic." "Strange. Rides usually don't wrap arms around married women." She angled past, went for the hallway. "It's called being friendly. I'm taking a shower." "Answer the question." She stopped, finally met my eyes with that tired look she'd been practicing. "My colleague. He lives near the highway. No story here." "Then here's a simpler one. If a stranger hugged me in our driveway at 10 p.m., you'd turn the sprinklers on." She didn't blink. "You always think too much. Maybe if you focused on earning more instead of inventing problems, we wouldn't be having this conversation." That line hung between us like a cheap banner. Then there was the water running, and I was standing in the kitchen with her note and a clear map I didn't want to admit I could read. I slept on top of the covers. She slept like nothing had been said. In the morning, she breezed through with a travel mug. "Don't forget the transfer," she tossed over her shoulder. "And pick up dry cleaning. I have a late meeting." "Late meetings seem to like you," I said. "They like productive people." "Good. Then they won't miss me." I grabbed my jacket and keys and left before she could volley back. Sometimes silence is the only tool that doesn't bend. At lunch, I sat in my truck outside a small place that makes decent burgers and worse coffee. I scrolled through contacts and stopped on Rachel. She's been in our orbit for years. Sharp, quick with a joke that cuts, the kind of woman who remembers everyone's birthday without needing Facebook to tap her shoulder. She'd always been friendly in a way that felt attentive. I had written it off as her being social. I called. "Wow," she answered, amused. "Did my calendar forget to warn me? I need a conversation. Tonight." "That's a loaded opener." "It is." She paused. 7. I'm picking the place. Try not to wear that face where you pretend everything's fine." 7 came fast. The restaurant had low lights and the kind of chairs that punish your back if you linger. Rachel was already there with a glass of sparkling water, and that looked like she'd predicted all of it. "So," she started. I didn't bother with appetizers. "Your friend keeps coming home in a black sedan, laughing. The driver hugs her like he knows the color of our couch." "Who is he?" Rachel rolled the glass in her hand. "You want the soft version or the short one?" "Short. He's not a colleague. He's her past." I didn't look away. "Name?" She tilted her head. "You already know the name." I did. She'd used it like a measuring stick in old arguments. "He was always taller, smarter, more whatever." Then after our one big fight about it, she had moved on. Right. She hadn't moved. She had hidden the boxes in the attic. "How long?" I asked. "Longer than a hiccup," Rachel said. She got careful about logistics. Different stories for different people. If you're asking whether you ignored obvious signs, you didn't. She made sure there weren't any. That's the trick. "Why tell me?" "Because you're not a fool," she said. And because she laughed about how you never notice. That bothered me more than the rest of it. She set the glass down. "You can hate me for saying it out loud, but I'd rather be the person who handed you a fire extinguisher than the one who filmed the flames." I nodded once. "You just did." We finished without dessert. She touched my sleeve by the door. "I wasn't here," she said softly. "You weren't," I agreed. On the way home, I passed the exit to our dry cleaner and kept driving. The old version of me would have done the chore, then cooked something warm, then tried to ask better questions. The current version bought takeout for one, set my own plate at the end of the table, and opened a notebook. If you can't trust someone, you switch from we to I in practical ways. That night, I made 3 decisions. First, money. I moved our extras into a separate account with my name on it and put the joint spending on the basics only: mortgage, utilities, groceries. No more transfer $600 notes. If she wanted upgrades, she could figure out what they cost her. Second, time. I blocked off 3 evenings a week for my shop projects, poker with the guys, or just a run by the river. I put them on a shared calendar that pings both phones. No explanations, just facts. Third, distance. I set the guest room in order. Clean sheets, lamp working, a door that closes. Not for drama, for sleep. Around 9, she texted, "Don't forget the transfer." I replied, "Joint covers basics. Extras are paused. We'll talk when you're home before 10 for a week straight." Minutes later, "You're making rules now? Boundaries. They're cheaper." She didn't answer that night. The house rewarded me with quiet. The next evening, I got home to the smell of grilled salmon and lemon. The table was set. She was in an apron she hadn't worn in months. It was a good counterfeit. "I may have been harsh," she started, folding a napkin in half. "Work's draining. I shouldn't take it out on you." "Noted. I made your favorite," she tried again. "Can we just reset?" "I can eat fish and still keep the calendar," I said, sitting. "Those aren't mutually exclusive." Her smile thinned. "You really want to keep this hostile energy going?" "What I want is simple. Respect. If it's here, I feel it. If it's not, I stop pretending it is." We ate quietly. She poured wine for herself, water for me. Halfway through, she reached across. "I'm sorry about last night," she said. The hug was nothing. "Good," I said. "Then there's no reason for it to happen again." "I can't control how friendly people are," she pushed. "You can control how close they stand." She looked at me like I'd just taught a class. "You sound different." "I am." After dinner, she gathered plates. "Let's watch something," she offered. "I'm hitting the shop," I said, picking up my keys. "Sam's got a transmission that hates him. I promised I'd take a look." "You promised him?" Our evening. Our evening runs on the new schedule," I said. "It's on the calendar." She watched me go with that measuring look. That was the first soft shift. It wasn't reconciliation. It was recalculation. At the shop, Sam had the hood up and 2 bolts that stripped out of spite. He's a quiet guy with forearms like rope and a dry way of making jokes land 2 beats late. "You look like a man who moved furniture in his head," he said without looking up. "Close enough," I said, grabbing a ratchet. "What do you think about separating budgets in a marriage?" "My sister did that," he said. "Saved her sanity. People who know what things cost tend to treat them better." He passed me a light. "You need a couch to crash on. You got mine. But you don't look like crashing. You look like building a fence." "A gate," I corrected. "It opens and closes." We knocked out the transmission. On my way home, I stopped by an ATM and took out some cash. I put it in an envelope in my toolbox. Not because I was planning an escape, but because planning is the opposite of begging. If I've learned anything about respect, it's that it hates panic. The week twisted. She tried honey. It turned to vinegar fast. On Wednesday, she stood in the doorway of the guest room, arms crossed. "So this is real. We're doing separate rooms now." "For rest," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "We've both been restless. This is a fix." "A fix," she repeated, smiling without humor. "What does the rest of your fix list look like?" "Money for basics only. Time blocks on the calendar. 0 tolerances for late-night drop-offs by anyone who doesn't live here." "You're policing me." "I'm refusing to sponsor disrespect." She laughed once. "You always did like dad phrases when you run out of arguments." I closed the laptop. "Here's a simpler phrase. I won't be compared to anyone who doesn't pay our mortgage." She opened her mouth, closed it, and walked away. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed from the kitchen. "Late meeting." I typed back, "Understood. Come home safe." At 11:15, I heard that same engine again. This time I didn't stand at the window. I sat at the table and waited. The key turned. She stepped in with her shoes in hand. "Did you eat?" I asked. "Don't do that." She threw back. "Do what?" "The concerned routine. You laid down laws. Own them." "Okay," I said. "New one. No outside rides after 9. If you need help, call me or a service." She stared like I was speaking a language she didn't order. "You don't get to tell me how to get around. I get to tell you what walks into my house." "The control is cute," she said. "Maybe if you made more, you wouldn't lean so hard into rules." You've repeated that line enough, I said. Next time you use it, I'll treat it like a request to split the mortgage proportional to income. You'll pay your share with interest. She went very still. You wouldn't. Try me. We looked at each other longer than normal people do. She broke first. Fine. Stop being dramatic. I'll set my own rides. Within the rule. She rolled her eyes and went upstairs. That night, the guest bed felt like a decision, not a punishment. 2 days later, the kill shot came by itself. Foggy morning, thin sunlight. I had taken the day off to handle a supplier problem at the shop, so I was home mid-morning. A black sedan pulled in like it paid taxes here. She came out with a smile she hadn't given me in months and a coffee cup that wasn't from our kitchen. He got out to open her door. No rush. No pretending it was accidental. He tapped the roof of the car with his palm like a small ceremony. She adjusted her hair and walked to the porch. I opened the door before she reached for the handle. We're done here, I said. She blinked. What? You've made your choice. I'm matching it. You and I are finished as a couple. We can talk logistics like adults. She looked past me, toward the living room. Over coffee with a coworker. That's your proof. Over a ceremony in my driveway at 10 p.m. and again at 10 a.m., I said. I'm not a detective. I'm a man who recognizes patterns. She stared. You can't just. I can, I said. This door opens when there's respect. It closes when there isn't. Right now, it's closing on the us part. You can stay here tonight. Tomorrow, I want a plan for moving out. You're punishing me for having friends. I'm ending a situation where I'm insulted in my own house. She laughed, short and sharp. Who's the dramatic one now? Shrug, I said. Meet me at noon for a key exchange. Put it on the calendar. I stepped back, let her pass, and texted Sam for a number. At 2, I sat in an office where the walls are too white, and the coffee is proof that professionals shouldn't brew their own. The attorney listened without the slightest flicker of surprise. He typed like the keyboard owed him money. You want it clean, he said. Clean, I confirmed. We both keep what's ours. House stays with me. We're done without theatrics. I didn't want to talk about the why. The what was plenty. It'll take about a week to draft the papers you need, he said. You'll want a notary on hand when you present. I'll handle the audience, I said. On the way out, I sent myself a reminder for a date that mattered to us for years, our anniversary. It was 7 days away. The symmetry was ugly and perfect. I've never been a showman, but sometimes truth needs a stage. When you stop chasing someone, you notice how quiet the world can be. I started running again after work. I ate what I wanted. I took out the trash when it was full, not when I felt like earning points. She kept trying on tones like outfits, sarcasm one day, indifference the next, then warmth so bright it hurt your eyes. The second illusion came 3 days before the anniversary. She showed up at the shop with a bag of barbecue, smiled at the guys, and handed me a container like we were dating again. Thought you might be hungry, she said. Sam raised an eyebrow at me over the hood. The new kid, Mike, froze because he doesn't know where to look when couples decide to be people. I set the container on the bench and didn't touch it. Thanks, I said. I'm in the middle of an estimate. She took a breath. I've been thinking. About us. About how we got off track. Maybe we should take a weekend away. Reconnect. Sam suddenly found a part he needed in the back and vanished. I already have plans this weekend, I said. Calendar's full. Her smile didn't crack, it calcified. Your calendar. Yep, I said. So that's it. You're shutting down for good because I had coffee with someone from my past. I'm shutting down because you replaced respect with contempt, I said. And you did it like it was a sport. I don't play those. She looked around the shop. We don't have to fight in front of your coworkers. We're not fighting, I said. We're finishing. Then at least tell me what you're planning for our anniversary, she pushed. We have people expecting. Expectations will be met, I said. On time. She tried to read something on my face. I let her. She left with the bag. Mike drifted back out. Sam returned with that late-arriving quip. If she brings food to a garage, she's either trying to make friends or change the scoreboard. Neither works here, I said. The next 2 days were rehearsal for her. She called people, arranged flowers, asked me about menu options in a cheerful tone that would have charmed the whole block 6 months ago. I didn't block it. I let the party form. I invited my parents, her sister, the guys from the shop, and a couple of neighbors who always bring potato salad that can double as spackle. I also invited Rachel. I didn't warn her about the program. She's smart. She'd hear the music. On the morning of the party, I put the papers in a simple folder with a ribbon that matched the napkins she chose. I set them on my dresser and took a long shower. Not the theatrical kind. The kind you take when you're about to lift something heavy and you want your back to be warm. By 5, the house was loud. Bowls clinked. Someone already spilled soda on the deck. My dad told Sam a story about how transmissions used to be easier because men didn't complicate them for fun. My mom asked if I was sleeping enough, then decided I wasn't. Her sister, Lindsay, smiled too hard and watched me like I was a documentary. And my wife, still my wife on paper, moved through the crowd like a wholesome storm. She brushed my arm with a napkin. "You look good," she said brightly. "Thank you for helping with everything." I answered, refilling the ice. She laughed at people's jokes. She filled plates. She stood too close to me, then too far. Control through proximity. It used to work. Now it was just a pattern I could name and ignore. At 7:30, I tapped my glass. The sound cut through chatter without begging. People turned. Phones angled up. She took a step closer and linked her arm through mine. I let it stay there for a count of 2 and then shifted so I could face the room. "I want to say something," I began. The house quieted in a way I didn't expect, like it had been waiting for me to stop letting other people narrate. "We built a life here," I said. "We cooked together. We argued about nothing. We bought furniture we didn't need and later pretended we did. For a long time, this place felt like home in the way you read about in postcards." She smiled, eyes shining in a way that works on relatives. "I learned patience here," I continued. "I learned that long days aren't an excuse to be short with each other. I learned how to fix a leaky sink without swearing." A ripple of laughs. "I also learned there's a time to be patient and a time to make a decision." Her arm tensed. "I have a gift," I said. I reached behind me to where I'd tucked the folder on the console table. I handed it to her. The ribbon looked almost festive. She opened it. Page 1 spoke for me. The room felt the drop. The cheerful noise cracked and slid away. Lindsay's hand went to her mouth. My dad didn't move. Sam exhaled slowly like a man watching a difficult bolt finally turn. My wife stared at the text, then at me. "You're joking." "No," I said. "In front of everyone," she whispered, a harsh, quiet sound. "This is what you choose." "I choose to end something that ended without me," I said. "And I choose to do it clearly so there are no recycled stories." Her eyes flicked around the room, chasing support. She found faces that didn't help her. "You're humiliating me," she tried. "You did that already," I replied. "Driveway, late nights, public jabs about money. Consider this balance." She set the folder down like it was hot. "I'm not signing this." "You don't have to tonight," I said. "You have 1 day to pack what's yours. We will coordinate the rest like colleagues." "Colleagues," she repeated, almost laughing. "People who respect each other's time even if they don't share a bed," I said. "It's not poetic. It works." She straightened, aimed for charm. "Can we talk privately?" "I'm finished talking," I said. "Everyone here deserves clear lines." I looked at Rachel. She had the calmest face in the room, which is why I chose her as a witness for the last part. I walked over, offered my hand. "You free for a drive?" I asked. She nodded once, stood, and put her small clutch under her arm like she expected to need both hands. We left. No door slam, no dramatic pause on the porch. In the car, I started the engine and let the dashboard glow settle the air. "You good?" Rachel asked. "I'm correct," I said. "Good might take a minute." "That's usually how correct feels," she said. We drove to a diner 20 minutes away where no one knows us. We sat at the counter and ate pie that tasted like childhood and sugar. Around us, a world continued. That's the most insulting thing about heartbreak. The world refuses to stop just because you finally did. When I got home an hour later, the party had been vacuumed out of existence. The deck was clean. The sink was empty. She was standing by the stairs with the folder in her hands and a look that said she had tried every tool in her belt except the one that works on me. "You ruined tonight," she said. "Tonight was already ruined," I replied. She took a breath like she might try again. Then she didn't. "I'll be out by tomorrow night." "Thank you," I said. "Leave the key on the table." Upstairs, I packed 2 tubs with the rest of my clothes from my closet. Not because I was leaving, because I wanted the lines to be obvious. The guest room stayed made. The master room looked like a hotel between guests. It fit. The next day, I worked a full shift, came home to a quiet house, and checked the dining room table. A single key lay there. No note. No apology. That's fine. Apologies don't rewind anything. They rearrange furniture. A week later, life had snapped into a new shape. Morning started with a run on the greenway by the river. I bought a secondhand truck I'd been eyeing, not because it was flashy, but because it does exactly what I need and nothing I don't. I put a decent grill on the back patio and invited the guys over on Sundays. Mike tried to make the potato salad. We learned he shouldn't. Rachel and I took it slow. She knows every wrong turn I made and still answers my calls. We go out for coffee where no one knows my name and walk through neighborhoods where people wave without the nosy follow-up. She's not a prize I claimed. She's a person who meets me where I am and asks nothing I'm not already offering. As for my former wife, I hear things without looking for them. She moved into a condo across town with a lease that bites. The old black sedan doesn't swing by there. Turns out logistics are simple until the light's on you. She tried to shift the story for a while, told a few friends I overreacted, that I made her feel small. The problem with that angle is all the people at the party saw the version where I stood up without raising my voice. They saw the folder. They saw a man who set a boundary in daylight. I didn't gloat. I didn't send messages. I sent the final paperwork when it was ready, signed my lines, and mailed the rest with tracking. Clean. When the confirmation arrived, I filed it and then took my mom to lunch because she asked, and I no longer had to choose between keeping peace and telling truth. The house feels different. Not better every second, but honest. When I walk in now, keys hit the bowl and the sound means I'm home. If I cook, it's because I'm hungry. If I host, it's because I want to. If I drive past a black sedan, it's just a car. My life is smaller in all the right ways. People ask if I'd do anything differently. Sure, I'd have made the calendar earlier. I'd have separated money earlier. I'd have set the guest room earlier. I'd have trusted patterns earlier than words. Not to save what we had, but to save time. Time is the only budget you can increase. If you're waiting for the right line to make someone respect you, you'll be waiting with cold food and a bill you shouldn't be paying. Here's the only line that worked. No, plain, documented, repeatable. No, to disrespect. No, to late-night stories with a laugh track. No, to being compared to the ghost of someone who doesn't make our bed. I don't carry anger about any of it. Anger is heavy. I carry lessons because they fit in a pocket. People will test what you let them take. If you hand them the keys, don't be shocked when they drive. The night of the party, I put the folder on the table and said what needed saying in front of people who mattered. That was the point. Not to bruise. To end the part of my life where I let someone else score me. She lost the comfort of a house she didn't respect and the status of a role she used to win arguments. I lost a story I had outgrown. We're both free now. Freedom fits me better. You want a moral? Here. Don't negotiate your respect. If someone makes you smaller in private, they'll do it louder in public. Fix it early or end it clean. I took too long to do the first. I did the second on time. And when I finally put the truck in park after a long day, there's a porch light I control, a fridge that doesn't hand me invoices, and a woman who texts me, "Eat something," because she knows I forget. That's not fireworks. That's peace. I like peace. It's quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It shows up every night on my calendar, and it has never once been late.